Hey guys, welcome back to another CO Guy Stuff. Today I'm going to show you how to make safe raw salmon for use at home. Maybe you want to cure it, make some lox, maybe you want to make sushi rolls, nigiri, sashimi, whatever. This gets you quote-unquote sushi grade salmon. Now there are some very important steps to take. Number one, never use wild caught salmon. You have about a 90% chance of having it riddled with parasites. The entire point of being sushi grade means it's been processed commercially to be safe to eat, which basically means it's been commercially frozen, which kills whatever parasites are in there. But you have to start with farm raised salmon, and it can't be from Scotland because those are actually farmed in seawater and they still have the parasites in them. But pretty much every other farm-raised salmon is going to be virtually parasite-free, but the steps I'm going to show you kills whatever is in there. Now, you have to be also aware of bacteria, and here's the first step. Bring yourself a cooler filled with ice and take it to the store because the fish cannot get warm. Even the car ride home is going to start breeding bacteria, so you got to be quick about it. I get mine from Sam's. They have excellent skinned fresh salmon. They are very plump, very delicious, but you got to keep them cool. Here I've got just under 3 pounds, cost me 25 bucks. This happens to be skinned from the store. You can use it with the skin also. You just have to gently cut it off the skin and you're good to go, but you got to keep it cold. I've got a whole bunch of ice underneath this. So that's the important part on choosing the right salmon to use. Now we're going to go ahead and quickly prep it. The whole thing with making it sushi grade and safe is that you have to freeze it for a solid week at home. And you have to get as much air out of the bags as possible. So we're going to be sectioning these into big chunks. Those are going to go into ziplock freezer bags. If you have a vacuum system, that's best. But if you don't, I'm going to show you a really quick and easy way. It does an absolutely beautiful job for free. So first we're going to put it into the bags. We are not slicing it for use. There are specific cuts we'll do for depending on what you're going to do with it after this whole process is done. Right now we're just sectioning it. And basically you want it into as much as you're going to use at one time, because when you're ready to use it, you pull each bag out of the fridge or out of the freezer and defrost it for a day in the fridge so it's ready to go. So you don't want to cut these into too small sections where you're just wasting bags, and you don't want it too large where it's sitting in the fridge more than it needs to be. So I'm going to cut these into sections where basically it's a meal for me of just sashimi. And yes, I absolutely love sashimi, so my portions are pretty darn big. You can do this on a cutting board, of course, but you really don't have to be precise with this. Like I said, we're just portioning it. I'll just set that there. And if you see any scales or whatnot, go ahead and pick them off. Sometimes you're going to have little soft bones down the center ridge. If you see them, obviously, pull them out. I actually prefer just to cut the center section out when I'm ready to use it, so I don't really bother with them. But the fish from Sam's rarely has any to begin with. So there we go. There's our sections, and of course it'll be a little tougher to go through that if you're using skinned fish. You can freeze it with or without the skin. You definitely need to deskin it in a thawed state though, so it's either do it now all at once, a nice big fillet, just hold the skin and peel it away with the knife, or you'd have to do it piece by piece when you're ready to use it. So I do suggest you do it before, but it doesn't make any difference to the actual processing. Okay, so now, oops, sorry, bumped the camera. A little seasickness there. Now, we take each one of these and we put it into a Ziploc bag, one at a time. And this, like I said, is if you don't have a vacuum pack system. Now we're going to use this little tub of water here, and we're going to use it as a poor man's vacuum system. So gently put it in there and the water will force out all the air possible. Just get it in there and then seal it up with it right near the water level, and pretty much all the air is forced out of your bag. And now we can put that in the freezer and it will be good to go, ready for use in 1 week. 1+ weeks later, I have pulled a bag out of the freezer into the fridge for 24 hours for a nice slow thaw. And now this fish is sushi grade, ready to use in whatever we want raw sushi for. I'm going to give it a quick rinse, pat it dry with paper towels, And now I'm going to do whatever I want to do with it for my recipe. Now in my case, I'm just making some delicious sashimi. There's tons of videos out there on how to properly cut the salmon for whatever you're going to do, especially for sushi. I'm not really doing anything that special. Most important thing is cut out the center section. This darker meat doesn't really taste good, at least to me raw. You might have some pin bones in the center on this side. Just remove those if you want to. Sam's is really good about deboning. I've only had a couple bones in all the salmon that I've bought there. And then what I do here is simply cut it lengthwise. And that leaves me with this nice big chunk of salmon right here. Now the important thing with the salmon, to make it really tender when you're eating it raw, no matter what you're doing, whether you're doing sashimi like I'm doing here, or nigiri, or sushi rolls, or making lox or anything, is to cut it across the grain, these white connective tissue lines here. If you cut it with them, so you kind of make slices like this, it's going to be a little tough to eat. You want to cut it at 90 degrees to them whenever possible, and at about a 45-degree angle to slice through the fish. So it really does make a difference. Now some will tell you to even cut this into two sections because these lines vary. You know what, for sashimi, just messing around like this, it's not that big of a difference. But yeah, if you want it really authentic, you're going to be slicing and dicing all these different pieces, different ways, and using different parts of the fish for different types of sushi or sashimi. But this is just me making a great big mess of delicious fish, and I'm just gonna use some soy sauce and wasabi and dip it in and call it good. It's absolutely delicious. But from this point, you can use this fish however you want to, and it is safe. So there you go, guys. Hope this helps somebody. It is absolutely delicious. It's very inexpensive. I buy, geez, I don't know, 80, 90, 100 bucks at a time. Chunk it up, freeze it. I have a couple weeks worth of tuna, or not tuna, salmon. You can do tuna too. That's a different process. So, see you next time. By the way, Chloe loves the dark meat, and it's really good for her. But I'll take the good stuff.